Hi all, welcome to another session of our PYQ discussion. We are discussing Child Development and Pedagogy and the chapter 3, that is Influence of Heredity and Environment. In previous class, we already discussed two questions and their answers. Now we are going to discuss our next question. Question number 3. Okay. In question number 3, in the context of nature and nurture, we already discussed these two things, that is topics, nurture and nature, in yesterday classes, and I've already give the clear explanation and examples of these two terms. I've already told you these nature and nurture are very important, and don't get confused with these two terms. Okay, so here the question is, in the context of nature and nurture or nature nurture debate, which one of the following statements seem appropriate to you? So the options are given below. A child is like a blank slate whose character can be molded by the environment into any shape. Children are genetically predisposed to what they would be like, irrespective of whatever environment they grow up in. Environmental influences only have a little value in shaping up a child's behavior, which is primarily genetically determined, and heredity and environment are inseparably interwoven and both influence development. So which among the options, or which among these statements are correct or appropriately related to the terms nature and nurture? Okay, it's a simple question. So after seeing a question, first you should clearly read the options. Okay, first I understand the question and then carefully analyze the each options, because we have only less times to find out the answers of these questions. We know that this is a MCQ, multiple choice question type exam, so time management is very important. Okay, so I give you 10 seconds, try to find out the answer yourself. So which statements are related to in the context of nature and nurture? We already discussed the importance of nature and nurture. If you understand the both concept, to find out the answer of this question is not difficult. Okay, let's analyze the answer. So before going to answer, I'm just discussing each options. Suppose if you don't understand the question, at least read each options carefully, so we can rule out wrong options by reading the options carefully. Okay, first analyze the first option. What is the first option? A child is like a blank slate. Here a child is compared to a blank slate whose character can be molded by the environment into any shape. So in the first statement, the character of the child is only related to environment, or the character of the child is formed only with the help of environment. So in the first option, there is environment is only mentioned there. Okay, there is no, the first option not explain any role of genetics or nature. So we know that that option is wrong, because what we studied, both the environment and genetics plays a role in the process of development. Okay, so the first option is wrong. What is the second option? Children are genetically predisposed to what they would be like, to irrespective of whatever environment they grow up. So in the second option, 100% importance is given to genetics only. Okay, environment is nothing. So the second option is also wrong. What is the third option? Environmental influences only have little value in shaping up one child's behavior, which is primarily genetically determined. So here also less importance are given to both genetic and environment are mentioned here, but only less importance are given to genetic or nature. So we already studied that, or we already know that both genetics and an environment, or nature and a nurture, play equal role. Okay, equal role in the process of development of a child. So heredity and environment are inseparably interwoven and both influence development in a equal way. So the option D is the correct answer. Okay. So what is nature? Factors inherited from parents, genes, heredity, biology, etc., which is considered as fixed one. And what is nurture? Nurture related to environment around us, that is family, education, culture, experiences, etc. So option D is correct. So why this answer? We know that modern psychology accepts that development is the result of both heredity and environment working together, not one alone. Always remember that the interplay of these two things are very important. Okay. Then the fourth question, this is our last question in this chapter. Do children acquire language because they are genetically predisposed to do so, or because parents intensively teach them from an early age? This question is essentially highlight. Okay. The children acquire language because they are genetically predisposed to do so, or because parents intensively teach them from an early age. So the options are whether development is a continuous process or discontinuous one, the influence of cognition on development of language, the nature nurture debate, the discussion on development is multi-factor ability. So try to find out the answer. The question is related to language acquisition happens in a child. So what or which factors influence the development of language in a child? Okay, let's see the answer. The correct answer is option C, that is nature and nurture debate. So the question is asking whether children acquire language due to genetic predisposition, that is nature, or because parents, teachers provide learning environment, that is nurture. Okay, because we know that the language acquisition in a child happens due to both the influence of nature and nurture. Okay, it's a kind of genetic factors influence the acquisition of language, and at the same time environmental factors also influence language development through social interaction, family, peer groups, etc. And also genetically the child has ability to learn the language. So both play important role in learn the language or language acquisition. Okay, so in this chapter 3, in this chapter the important areas are especially nature and nurture, that is influence of heredity and environment. So you need to identify the examples of nature and nurture. Okay, it's a very easy area, but after seeing the question, the chances we get confused. Okay, there are chances we get confused. So don't get confused after dealing such type of question. You need to read the questions carefully and also rule out the wrong options by reading the options carefully. Okay, hope you understand the topic and questions and their answers. Okay, thank you.